Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'll be making some decorative pumpkins. So let's get started. So I have a ceramic pumpkin here, and I have a gourd or a squash and a smaller pumpkin here. So as I'm going to be using these as my mold for my DIY pumpkins, I'm going to cover them with some plastic wrap. I'm going to put 2 layers of the plastic just to be on the safe side, because I don't want them to get damaged in any way. Okay guys, so the pumpkins are wrapped in plastic here, and I have some strips of newspaper here. What I did was cut it to the approximate length of the pumpkin from top to bottom. And I have some crafting glue, a container of water, and my flat brush. So what I'm going to do is dip the strips of paper into some water just very quickly, and I have a paper towel here that I'm using to dab them dry, because I don't want them soaking wet, I just want them slightly damp. So I'm dabbing dry the strips. So I'm taking a damp strip here, and from the top of the pumpkin, I'm just laying it along here with a slight overlap. I would say overlap about 1/2 inch or so. And then I'm going to take my brush with my glue and then just cover it here. And make sure the strips are individual strips, not 2 or 3 joined together. Adding strips until we cover the whole pumpkin. I'm using my fingers to just smooth it in here. The idea is just to get the general outline of the pumpkin. I want the top part of the pumpkin here to be a little bit more defined. So I'm going to take some crumpled up paper here and a longer piece and sort of fold that together to sort of create that. I'm going to add a little bit of water to that just to dampen it a bit. And I'm going to position it here on top and sort of twist it. And then I'm going to add some glue. And then I'm going to try to mold that. Just pinching and squeezing the edges here to sort of give it a more pointed tip. And just put a little bit more glue on there. Okay, and then I'm going to take another piece. So it's some scrap pieces here, and just a little bit of water on there just to make it a little bit more sturdy. And then I'm going to add some more glue. And another thin strip of paper. This one will be dry right now because I want to be able to manipulate it without it tearing so easily. And then I'm going to put a little more glue around here, around the tip. And just twist that slightly there. Just pinch that slightly so it's on an angle there, and then I'll just use my fingers to smooth it with a little bit of glue just so that the paper is laying flat. Okay guys, so the pumpkins have dried. I let them dry overnight. However, you can use a blow dryer if you need to. So what I'm going to do is very gently put a slit in the side here of the pumpkin and another on the other side here, just so I can slide it off. I'm going to start off with one and see if that works, and if I need to, I'll do another. I'm using a small pair of scissors here, and I'm going to just gently cut along this indentation here. Now, my goal is to try to avoid cutting the plastic wrap so that I don't have to rewrap the pumpkin for future use, but if it happens to cut, then it's not the end of the world. Now I'm going to join the areas that I've cut. So what I'm going to do is take a thin strip of newspaper, with a generous amount of glue, and a brush here. I'm just going to place it right over that area. Holding the edges together while I secure the strip in place. Okay guys, so the pumpkins are all done with the bottoms. So now the next step is to give them a coat of chalk paint. So I'm going to start with the big one and use my pouncer with some white chalk paint. Check out my video on how I made the chalk paint. And I'm putting on a nice thick coat of chalk paint as that will help the pumpkin be sturdier. Okay guys, so the pumpkins are all dry and I'm going to take some of my modeling paste here. Check out my video how I made that and apply it to the surface of the pumpkins because I want to create a smoother surface than it has right now and add a little bit more weight and stability to the pumpkins. So I'm just smoothing with my palette knife here and I'm just using my fingers to speed up the process. And the areas that are rougher, I'm putting a little extra paste there. Okay guys, so the modeling paste has dried. So I'm taking some sandpaper that says 100 on it, very smooth. I'm going to smooth out any uneven or rough edges here, just very gently. And this can get very dusty, so I recommend having good ventilation, open the windows, and if you have a dust mask, that definitely will help. That's fairly smooth. We have some imperfections, of course. This is supposed to be replicating an organic item. So, all right, so the next step is to put our molds on there. I have this mold and I have a smaller one here with a Baroque type design. So I'm going to use air dry clay and manipulate it a little bit to get it started. And then I'm going to place it here in the silicone mold. Then I'm going to use a roller here just to get it very well in there. Then I'm going to use my palette knife to trim the excess. And then I'm going to place it upside down here, and then from one end slowly roll it upward. And you can just tidy up the edges with a knife or a straight edge of some kind. So I've cut out all my molds here, so I'm going to glue them with some wood glue. Okay guys, so I've glued the molds onto the pumpkin here, and what I did to create a vine here was just roll out the clay to a very long strip and then twist it around the stem of the pumpkin. So I'm going to let these dry completely and then we'll continue. So to reduce the cracking on the clay, I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap. So that will allow the outer part of the clay to not dry too fast while the inside is still moist, as this is what causes cracking. Okay guys, so the clay has dried. I'm just removing the plastic here as I dry them with the plastic on them. So just looking at this one, it looks really good. Minimal cracking on there. This one the same. Here I did join this piece here, so there's a little gap. So what I'm going to do is just take my small palette knife with a little bit of modeling paste and see if I can get it in to that little area there without disturbing the rest of the design. And then I'm going to just take a really fine brush here and brush away the excess. So the pumpkins are ready, and now I'm going to just mix up some metallic white paint with some regular white acrylic and a little dab of brown because I wanted to have a slightly off-white color. The reason I'm adding regular acrylic paint to the metallic paint is because the metallic paints tend to act like more of a glaze than regular coverage. I've mixed up quite a bit because I want to use the same color as the base for the other two, but I'll be adding some other colors to those. Okay guys, so the next step is to apply some soft wax. Here I have my DIY soft wax. Check out my video on how I made this. And I have a soft brush here. I've applied some wax to it, so we're going to just apply some wax to mainly to the areas that have the embellishments on it, and the areas right next to it. And I'm going to go very, very gently over the embellishments here, as they're so delicate. I have to apply some more wax. Just make sure it's evenly distributed on the brush, and then continue here. So I've applied the wax to all the pumpkins, and now I have a new brush with some wax as well as some antique paste, and I'm going to just dab some of that on there, evenly distribute it, and I'm going to go in on the embellishments. And this will create an aged look. I'm going to take some of the original white metallic paint, in its raw form on mixed on my fingertips, and I'm going to dab some here on the green pumpkin, and I'll just highlight some areas of the pumpkin itself just for a little more effect.